In joyful strains and let us sing. Have God, Australia fair. Today he stands before you to launch a party which will stand up for the rights of the people of Australia and to keep Australia Australian. Ladies and gentlemen, please join with me to welcome the National President of the Rise Up Australia Party, Daniel Nalaya.
Thank you, you may be seated. Good morning and a warm welcome to all my fellow Aussies in Australia. It brings me tears to see what's happening this day. What started 13 years ago as only a dream, 13 years later, it's a reality.
Yes.
That Australia today has a political party called Rise Up Australia Party. Unlike any other political party, one of the hallmarks of Rise Up Australia Party is that we are determined to be politically incorrect. If an Aussie loves his country and be patriotic about his nation, and if that's been contributed to with racism, I think tolerance has gone too much. And Rise Up Australia Party is committed to keeping Australia Australian. I want to take this time to acknowledge and thank the Indigenous people of Australia.
Yes.
I've spent time in Yarra, Alice Springs, back of Burke, and very often they ask me the question, are you one of our fellas, mate? And I think they have someone who has the same skin color now. And I want to call on my brothers and sisters in the Indigenous community. You can make it in life. There is hope for you.
Yes.
There is hope with Rise Up Australia Party. Rise Up Australia Party is absolutely committed towards protecting Australian values and keeping Australia Australian.
Yes.
One would ask the question, how could you help the Indigenous people? I think successive governments in Australia have tried to do everything they can, including in the recent past under the administration of Kevin Rudd as our Prime Minister. There was an apology given too, which is really great. But we got to understand the Indigenous people. They are people who are very spiritual.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
A man comprises of spirit, soul, and the physical being of the person. And these Indigenous people understand the language which is in the spirit realm. So doling out millions of dollars is not the answer for them.
Right.
The answer is to love them as a people and impress them as a people and tell them how much you love them by taking them to their communities and helping them out. I was reflecting on what happened to the Indigenous people. I identify with them. Their sons and daughters were taken out of their homes. They went through much hardship. So did I. In a different sense. My country of birth is Sri Lanka. And I absolutely love Australia for embracing me. We've had very hard times. We had 2 civil wars in our country. During this time, my brother and my sister, when I was 7 years of age, had to be taken so someone else could look after them. Up to date, when I think of that, I feel so sad. I can understand what the indigenous people go through. Let's not forget all the kids from Britain who were sent to Australia.
Yes, that's right.
Number of them came without their parents, not knowing where they were coming to. But they made it in life. Why? Because Australia is fair go.
That's right. Yes.
Successive governments have catered to people's needs physically. But I want to tell you, Rise Up Australia Party will cater to people's needs spiritually, physically, and in any other way possible. Because the people of Australia need help. When did we last year any politician get up and speak about the suicides in our nation? When did we last year any politician get up and speak about the depressed people in our nation?
That's right.
When did any politician get up and speak about doing something about the number of families which are breaking apart?
Yes. Yeah.
Rise Up Australia Party is keen on just not being in Parliament. We are keen on being a voice for the people of Australia. Rise Up Australia Party, which is committed to keeping Australia Australian, is utterly and completely opposed to multiculturalism.
Yeah. Yes.
That will be one of the first things we will do when we get into Parliament, to make sure that multiculturalism is abolished in Australia. And then instead, we will introduce the multi-ethnic Australia.
Yeah.
Why a multi-ethnic Australia? My country of birth is Sri Lanka. I chose to come into Australia and become a part of Australia. Now it's my duty to assimilate into Australian way of life.
Yes.
I cannot expect the Aussie to assimilate into every single person who comes from every different country to Australia. We've got to work on what will unite us and not what will divide us. I think I'm speaking to the right people. One would always look at experience, not just simply reading books. Experience is the best school you could ever go to. So let's look at Europe. What did David Cameron say recently? What did Sarkozy, before he lost his election in France, say? What did Angela Merkel from Germany say? What did the Dutch Parliament say? What is all of Europe saying right now? Multiculturalism has failed our nations. It saddens me that the host countries in the West have chosen to go down the path of multiculturalism. I wonder whether they ever thought what's going to be the consequences of such a society 20 years down the track.
Yes. That's right.
Well, those eggs which were laid are beginning to harvest and reap right now, the harvest in Europe.
That's right.
What's happening in Europe? We have 85 Islamic Sharia codes. Some 700 plus no-go zones for people who are Anglo-Saxon or white people in France.
That's right.
Are we going to wait for that to come to Australia?
No.
I'm an immigrant to this country. I see the downfall of multiculturalism.
That's right.
And I can't understand why our politicians in Parliament cannot see.
That's right. Come on now. Yeah.
What is your agenda? It's time that Australia has a party which is willing to talk the talk and also walk the walk. What started as a dream, my traveling the length and breadth of the country, meeting people all across the land, talking to people, possibly I might be able to claim, except from the media, in this whole crowd, I might be the most traveled person in all across Australia. Maybe a claim is a bit too radical, but I travel a lot. And I hear the voice of the people.
Yes.
And I want to tell you what the voice of the people are. The silent majority of Australia finally has a party which will speak the words that they're thinking in their minds and recite in their hearts. They're looking for someone to champion the cause. I'm so glad that I can stand here today. 3 years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago, is when it birthed in my heart. It's time to start a political party. On hearing the various people across the country singing the same song. Today I want you to walk on the streets of Australia and ask any single person you meet on the street, what do you think of your politicians? Well, I will not tell you what they tell you. But one thing they tell you, when will we get someone whom we can trust?
Right. Yes. Leadership.
Well, you got someone whom you can trust. And that's Rise Up Australia Party. I was interviewed by an SBS reporter. And he asked me the question when we first announced the party as a Rise Up Australia political party after registering with the Electoral Commission. He said, your party sounds to me, Rise Up Australia, keep Australia Australian, seems to be about the Pauline Hanson White Australia policy all over again. What do you have to say? Of course, he did not see me because I was on the telephone. The fact is that he didn't realize that he was born during the day and I was born at night. Spontaneously, I just cracked up laughing on the telephone. And I told that I'm right. The founding chairman and the president of the party you're talking to is a black fellow. I said, this is not a white Australia party. More than 1/3 of our members are not Anglo-Saxon Caucasian. Take a look around this room. More than 1/3 of our supporters across the country are not Anglo-Saxon Caucasian. I told the guy, I said, listen, I don't come into your house and tell you how to live. You don't come into my house and tell me how to live. I chose to come to Australia. It's my duty to assimilate with Australian way of life. That's why Rise Up Australia Party is for all people who embrace Australia and are willing to keep Australia Australia. So our flagship would be to make sure multiculturalism is abolished and we embrace a multi-ethnic Australia.
Good.
People come from different countries, their country of birth is fine. Please bring your food with you. Because I think God created Chinese fried rice. I love it. I like the Lebanese roti and the bread. The Arab bread. I love the Italian pizza. And of course you've got to eat some Sri Lankan curry to catch the fire. But please do not come and tell me or our nation that your laws are not good enough for us. We want Islamic Sharia law, a separate legal system. Sorry, that's the time we show the doorway and say, there's a free passage for you. You go back to where you came from. You're Australia.
That's it. Come on.
Australia was built on Judeo-Christian values. Come on, get to that flag, please. The forefathers of this land paid a heavy price to keep Australia Australian.
Right.
Our armed forces are men in uniform. Died fighting for this flag. We've got to look at things which will unite us, not what will divide us.
Right.
The laws in our country are good laws. That's why I chose to come into Australia. Many immigrants chose to come into Australia. Now if you think your law and your legal system of Sharia is better than Australian common law, then you're in the wrong place. One of our greatest freedoms is the freedom to leave. You're welcome to leave. Don't push Sharia. Rise Up Australia Party will not permit Sharia law in Australia. This flag means a lot to me.
Me too.
How many times we have seen the American flag being burned right in the soil of America?
Terrible.
You know what I think? I think if anyone burns this flag, they should be charged. They should be fined. We got to respect the flag for which our men have died for. So people ask me the question, do you have a problem with the Muslim people? The answer is no. I love them. Just because I had an opinion about Sharia law and the teachings of Islam, that does not make me automatically a person who does not love the Muslim people. I love them very much.
That's right.
May I explain that to you? I don't approve of Nazi ideologies or philosophies. But that does not make me a person who hates the German people. I love them. I don't approve of communist ideologies or philosophies. That does not make me automatically a person who does not like Russians and Chinese. I love them. In fact, I say Chinese fried rice is the best food in the world. What I'm trying to say is we have the right in Australia for free speech. Australia, I'm talking to the Labour government. I'm so glad that Nicola Roxon has departed. Do not restrain, do not stifle freedom of speech. That's one of our fundamental values. Do not try to put embargoes or stifle free speech, free media. Let the media be free to report. I think I have the best credentials to talk on freedom of speech in Australia because of a court battle that I took on in 2002. In 2002, after September 11th, when I was asked to run a seminar, which became the subject of a complaint by the Equal Opportunity Commission, unfortunately because of a stupid piece of legislation called the Racial and Religious Verification Laws, where it's subjective and not objective, where you're guilty until you prove yourself innocent whereas the Westminster Court is your innocent until you prove yourself guilty. I was sued for speaking in my church, for quoting direct verses from the Quran. I refused to apologize. Why did I refuse to apologize? You don't apologize for speaking the truth. Tolerance has to stop at some point. Australia, we have to put a stand, draw the line in the sand, and take a stand for our nation right now. Because free speech is under threat in Australia. We cannot let that happen. Lasted 5 years. $600,000 we had to pay as court charges. $1.4 million worth of pro bono work was done by the legal firm. At the end of 5 years, thank God and thank the people of Australia who got behind us. And I thank the judiciary system. Victorian Supreme Court declared that we were not found guilty and we had not done anything wrong. And then the Islamic Council of Victoria was ordered to pay $80,000, which was nothing much, but something. So people ask me this question, what do you think about the Muslim people? And I said, I actually feel like nominating the Islamic Council of Victoria for the Australian of the Year award. Because they did me a great favor by taking me to the courtrooms. I speak my heart and I want to speak in my heart. What is in my heart, what comes out of my mouth, I will not say one thing here and say something somewhere else. So hear me out for what I'm saying. I really appreciate the Islamic Council of Victoria because for 5 years, they gave me much needed media free of charge. After 5 years, I became quite a name in every home across Australia. I would walk to the airport corridors when I would see young men and women run up to me and put their thumbs up and say, "Good on you, mate. We wish there are more fellows like you who come from overseas who love our country." At this point, I didn't know that I would be starting a political party. I'm so excited today. So excited. So excited that we have a political party finally, which is going to fight to protect Australia and keep it Australian. Let me share some of our other policies. Support Australian farmers and producers. I have traveled the length and breadth of the land. I've slept on many beds. Some days I get up and I go into the wall thinking I'm going to the toilet. Because I'm in different rooms every week. Once in getting case, I have slept in many farmers' homes. I see them get up at 4:30 in the morning, see them go to bed at 10:30 at night. And what do they get? The crumbs of the profit. You know, it broke my heart when I saw one farmer backing up his truck to a big pit and dumping a whole truckload of oranges. When we are elected into Parliament, we will be pushing for legislation to ban imports or reduce imports of fruits and vegetables so that our Aussie farmers will get a chance. So that our Aussie farmers will get a chance to sell their produce in the marketplace. We at Rise Up Australia Party are committed to looking after the farming community. 51% Australian ownership of infrastructure.
Thank you. Yes.
Do you know that our nation currently is selling our land and infrastructure to foreign countries?
Yes.
Think ahead. 40, 50 years, if you think behind us, if the fathers and the forefathers of this land did the same, would we be enjoying the Australia we have today?
No.
Well, if we sell our land and our infrastructure to foreign countries, what is going to be the results? or the consequences of that for the next generation and the generations to come. Would our children and our grandchildren have to depend on a third party to live on their own soil? What's gone wrong with our politicians? When Rise Up Australia Party comes in, we will introduce legislation that all infrastructure sold to foreign countries, 51% has to be and must be nationally owned in Australia. Restore and invigorate Australian manufacturing industries.
Yes.
Why do we want to do that? So that our own Aussies will have the jobs. Protect the traditional family unit. A mother, father, and children. Stop the declining birth rate. Now we have a crisis, people.
That's right.
Most politicians will not touch on this area,
That's right.
but I'm going to touch on it.
Good.
That birth rate of the Western civilization, it's around 1.38 or 1.4.
Yep.
Whereas birth rate amongst Muslim people is at around 4.1. Why? Our government does not permit polygamous marriages. However, Centrelink recognizes polygamous marriages.
That's right.
Why do they recognize it? Because we need to work. We are a multicultural society. According to their culture, they can have 4 wives, so we need to recognize that. When we get into Parliament, we will hold inquiries into these areas. We will stop to these payments which are not right to be given to certain people and not others.
That's right.
If polygamous marriages are not permitted in Australian federal law, then so shall it be with Centrelink. No payments to be given. That's why we switch from multicultural to multi-ethnic. Parents and schools should have the right to discipline children within sensible, non-abusive guidelines.
That's right.
Let me put this question to you. 20 years ago, what did a copper carry on his waist? What does he carry today? What else? Capsicum spray? Why? What's happened to society? Why have we intervened into family affairs to such an extent that the child could come home and tell the mother and the father, "You give me a smack, I'll sue you"?
Nonsense.
The Bible says, "Spare the rod and spoil the child." It's better for a child to get a smack with love on her bottom or his bottom, rather than face the bullets or capsicum spray. Well, this is not this is politically terribly incorrect what I'm saying. Why? Because the media and a minority of people have chosen to be the voice for the majority. Go speak the day-to-day Aussie and ask them what their heart is. They would love to go back to the values that their fathers taught them. So I hope the Rise Up Australian Party will be politically incorrect. Why? Because we'll be speaking the truth. Why should we have an ambulance at the bottom of the mountain when we can put a fence at the top? Get it right, Australia. Government of Australia needs to get it right. We should not simply follow what's happening in the world.
That's right.
The UN tells us to do it, so we do it. Come on, we don't sacrifice our sovereign rights into the hands of the UN.
That's right.
We appreciate the UN, we appreciate what they're doing, but there are times that we've got to draw the line and say this is our sovereign right.
That's right.
Such as we don't need racial and religious qualification laws in Victoria. Children. The Herald Sun did a survey recently. 40,000 people responded to the survey. 96% 3.7% approved of such a value to be brought back into the Australian family and into the school. Repeal anti-discrimination laws to protect freedom of speech and religion. Stop the illegal boat arrivals to preserve lives.
That's right. Yes.
Very important.
Yes.
Keep Australia debt-free.
Yeah.
Honouring the first people of the land, advancing Australia together.
Yeah.
I must share this with you. As I travel now, I find a lot of Indigenous people attending my meetings. And I'm very excited to tell you this, that they are signing up as members. Many of them are going to be voting for the very first time in their life
Wow.
in the 2013 federal election. I was addressing a campaign meeting in South Australia. The place location was by the main street. As I was speaking, I happened to notice a guy walk into the hall. And he was a bit tipsy, meaning he was a bit drunk. Someone gave him the brochure. He looked at the brochure and he said, I can imitate a person who is drunk because I watch my dad drunk every day, okay? So he said something like, Australian Obama. I thought that was quite funny. He called me the Australian Obama. People have asked me the question, you have so many policies, how are you going to deal with them? I have a passion.
Yes.
I read the story of the Wright brothers. And let me share this with you. Wright brothers had a passion to fly the aircraft so that people could have the benefit of traveling fast. At the same time, there was a gentleman by the name of Samuel Cody, I think, if I got it right, who was also keen on flying an aircraft because he wanted to be the first man who flew an aircraft. Difference. One was motivated for glory, the other was motivated with passion.
Yes.
Samuel had all the finances, had all the technology, had the New York Times following him. The Wright brothers did not have any of that. Every time the Wright brothers tried to take their flight off the ground, it crashed. They had to have like 5 spare parts all the time to fix it. But you know what? The end product of it was the Wright brothers got their aircraft up in the air. They did the first flight.
Yes.
Yes.
Samuel decided to abandon his plan. What's the moral of the story? The moral of the story is the Wright brothers did not have everything they wanted to have, but they were driven by passion. And I want to tell you, Rise Up Australia Party does not have everything it has, but Rise Up Australia Party is driven by love and passion for a nation called Australia. Keep Australia, Australia. I want to close by saying this. When elected to Parliament, we are committed to stand for the people of Australia, representing them in Parliament.
Yes.
It's 14 September. Hope that that will be not another broken promise. And if the day states as the 14th of September, we will be running approximately 52 lower house candidates. We are hoping to do so in 5 states across Australia,
Yes.
namely Western Australia. We have people here from Western Australia today. New South Wales. We have people from New South Wales here today. Queensland. We have people from Queensland here today,
Yes.
Tasmania. We have people from Tasmania here today,
Yeah.
and Victoria. We have people from Victoria here today. You would see approximately 52 lower house candidates, as well as about 1 dozen or 10 or 12 Senate candidates will be running for the next federal election on the 14th of September. I believe Australia is about to see change.
Yeah.
I think, and I believe, and I hope that we will pick 3 Senate seats in this election,
Yes.
so that we could hold the balance of power and say goodbye to the Greens. Let me introduce some of my Senate candidates who are present here today. Standing alongside with me, I'll be standing as the #1 Victorian Senate candidate, the lead Senate candidate for Victoria. Is also Rosalie Costani. Would you please come up, please? Representing New South Wales, our lead Senate candidate is Mike Bloomfield. Representing the state of Queensland, our lead Senate candidate is Vicky Towing. And our number 2 for Queensland is none other than Michael Jennings. Our lead Senate candidate for Western Australia is Jane Foreman. And there's an island called Tasmania. Sometimes they think that they're a different country, but they're a part of Australia. I very often go overseas. Representing Tasmania will be Peter Gathercourt. Well, if you want to take some photographs, might be a good opportunity for you to do so right now. May I close by saying thank you to all of you who have made this a wonderful day. May I also say thank you to a man whom I admire, a man who also is politically incorrect, who will be introduced in a little while as the next speaker. But I also want to thank the people of Australia for trusting in me and loving me and inviting me to your homes and making me a part of your family. I love Australia. I want to thank my family for the sacrifices they made during the court case for 5 years. My family received many death threats. My family received many threats that my home was going to be firebombed and my office would be firebombed. When I didn't stop, I was then threatened that by the Muslim people that my children will be kidnapped from the school. And one would ask me, how could you love them when they've done this to me? Done this to you? I said, listen, we can't brand everyone with the same brush. There are many Muslim people who are lovely Muslim people who love Australia. They want to be a part of Australia.
That's right.
But we are not going to let the radicals of true Muslims are radicals, unfortunately. That's the truth. If they practice the Quran,
That's right.
they are radicals.
That's right.
Good Muslims are people who have decided to live another moral code than the Quran.
Yes. Yeah,
Embrace.
that's right.
Those who embrace our country and our values, we love them.
Yes.
Yes.
And I was asked the question, they said to me, one of the guys walked up to me and said, "Hey pastor," they said, "do you love your family?" That came out of my mouth, a few words, which was my heart speaking. I said, "What do you mean by my family?" He said, "I mean your family, they have been death threats." I said, "My family is 23 million Aussies." May I be bold enough to say this? Don't wait for something to come to your backyard. Don't wait thinking, I got to be not doing it, it's not my job. If it comes to me, then let me wake up. It might be too late. Why not look at our whole nation? Don't be selfish as I was at one given time, thinking only me and my family. How about the sons and daughters of Australia? What about their future? I am willing to lay my life on the line in order to protect Australia so that generations to come will enjoy the freedoms that our forefathers fought for to protect Australia and keep Australia, Australia. And may I say, watch out Australia, watch out the federal parliament. We are coming. And may I close by saying this, I thank Almighty God for His protection and His love and His blessings upon our nation Australia. And I believe my speech will not be complete if I don't do this. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie! Aussie, Aussie, Aussie! Aussie, Aussie! Thank you. God bless you.
Australia Party, Daniel Meyer. Thank you, Daniel. And as Daniel alluded to our next speaker, who is our guest speaker, that's come a very long way for today, but not just for today. He is a British public speaker and hereditary peer. He is known for his invention of the mathematical puzzle Eternity, but more importantly, for his work as a journalist, Conservative Party political advisor, and the UK Independent Party political candidate. He joins us today as we officially launch Rise Up Australia Party. Ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome Lord Christopher Monckton.
My lords, that's me. Ladies and gentlemen, good day, Australia! I love Australia! Do you love Australia? I cannot hear you. Do you love Australia? Come on, ladies and gentlemen. Do you love Australia? Do you love Pastor Danny? Is Pastor Danny going to Canberra? And all of you are going to Canberra. In fact, I've got news for you. You're already here. It is a huge honour for me that you have invited me to be the guest speaker at the launch of this party, which has been so unenthusiastically backed by those in this room. So come on, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it good and proper for Rise Up Australia! You're getting better at this. Practice, and they will be able to hear you all the way in the Parliament House. And that's just as well, because they'll soon have to get used to hearing you inside the Parliament. Now, one of the things that puzzles me until I came to Australia is why here down under the first three letters of the alphabet are near universally hated. Think about it. So, what are the first three letters of the alphabet? A, B, C. Now, I was interviewed just before I came on here by the ABC. And their main interest was in why I would presume to support a party whose founder and leader had said that the bushfires in Australia were a judgment from God because the laws in Victoria allow what Senator John Madigan of one of your sister parties, the Democratic Labour Party, called baby butchering. So I said to him, I don't think that Pastor Danny said any such thing. We all know what causes bushfires. There are three causes: arson, carelessly discarded beer bottles, and lightning strikes. The ABC didn't seem to know this. And I said, since you give me the opportunity to talk about baby butchering, then let me tell you what I think about it. To send in a vacuum cleaner to the womb of a woman, and to dismember the growing child within that womb, and pull it out limb by limb, and then leave it, if it survives this hideous process of torture, to gasp its fluttering last on some cold hospital draining board under the cold glare of the strip lights and of its butchers. Well, I'm against it. I said to this reporter from the ABC, who hadn't yet learnt his ABC, I said they do this without even making sure that the child who is about to be tortured, dismembered and butchered is given a proper anaesthetic first. And I said, why don't they do that? Because they don't want to admit that this is a child of our own species. Now, Pastor Danny said, would I endorse Rise Up Australia? And I said to him, it is not for me as a Brit to endorse any Australian political party, but I'm going to anyway. I will endorse this party I will endorse the Democratic Labour Party. I will endorse any party which stands up for the human rights of humans. The human rights of our little ones, not to be tortured, dismembered and butchered and to die in cruel pain. I am against it. So I want to hear this loud and clear. Is the Rise Up Australia Party against baby butchering? Now let me say this to those who may be watching, who may perhaps have had an abortion themselves. They may perhaps know somebody very close and very dear to them who has had an abortion themselves. There is one place you may always go if, in what is known as post-abortive trauma, you feel wretched because of what has happened and you feel that you have nowhere to turn. Well, there is somewhere where you can always turn, and that is go to any building which carries upon it the sign of the cross, and we will help you. Let me make it very clear that we are against the act of baby butchering, but that we fully understand the pressures that can be put, often by the medical profession or by certain political parties, on people not to have the children that they have conceived. We understand that, and even if you are forced or inveigled or misled into killing the child in your womb, we love you anyway. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, I want to hear you loud and clear. Do we love those who have had abortions? Yes. And I was also asked by the unspeakable ABC why I was willing to support a party that is anti-Muslim. Well, you've heard from Pastor Danny whether this party is anti-Muslim. If anybody had any excuse for wanting to be anti-Muslim, it is Pastor Danny, after what a small minority of badly behaved, ill-intentioned institutional terrorists from that community tried to do to him. But they, and Danny knows this, and you know this, and Rise Up Australia knows this, they are not Islam. I have studied Islam. I have read the Quran in the dignified and splendid translation of Sir Zafrullah Khan. I have studied the scholarship of that great and glorious age of Islam, which brought forth, for instance, Al-Haytham or Al-Hazen, who was the founder of the scientific method, that if we were still following it today, we wouldn't have all this rubbish about global warming. So when you hear that we are against Islamicist terror, this does not mean we oppose Islam or that vast majority of Muslims who are also good Australians. So I want to hear it. I want to hear it loud and clear. Is the Rise Up Australia Party on the side of and in favour of those good Australians who are also Muslims? Do we love our fellow Australians who are Muslim? Yes, we do. And you will see the leader of your party standing up and waving his Australian flag at that. Because when he says we don't want multiculturalism, he's not saying let's get rid of everybody who hasn't got a white skin, because otherwise he'd have to be on the first boat. So when the ABC said to him, when they were they said, you know, why are you opposing the idea of foreign people coming to Australia? He said, I'm not doing that. He said, I came to Australia because I loved the freedom of this land, and now that I'm here, I want to keep Australia free. So, ladies and gentlemen, I again want to hear from you. Do you want to keep Australia free? Then let me say this to the ABC and to those other news media who have not been given both sides of the story a fair go. Now is your chance to give Pastor Danny a fair go. So I want you in the news media to make sure that in future you do not only report and reflect the Communist Party line. Because I've got news for you. The Berlin Wall fell 13 or 14 years ago. Catch up, Australia. Get with the picture. And as you know, one of the reasons why Pastor Danny kindly asked me to be here is that I do not believe all that stuff about global warming. Global warming reminds me of a Texas longhorn, a point here, a point there, and a whole lot of bull in between. And the thing about so many of the aspects of that narrow, socialistic, communistic, fascistic, totalitarian party line that is pursued with such tedious relentlessness by the ABC and by other news media here, you are increasingly out of touch with the ordinary working people of Australia. Think of this. Who does the mineral resources rent tax hit hardest? It hits hardest the people who, for me, have always been the heroes of Labour. Those who dig the darkness underground to bring men light. The miners, ladies and gentlemen. So, will we abolish the mineral resources rent tax? Ladies and gentlemen, you're going quiet on me again. Will we abolish the mineral resources rent tax? And do we stand solidly, four square, behind our heroes of Labour, the mine workers of Australia? Nobody else will if we don't. That's the problem.
That's it.
And then, of course, there's the carbon tax. Will we abolish the carbon tax? And I seem to remember, during your last election campaign, and let us hope with the way things are going, that it's not the last election campaign in Australia, I seem to remember somebody saying, under my leadership, there will be no carbon tax. I apologise for her stage Australian accent. She's really Welsh. And frankly, if it were not for the inclusive policy of the Rise Up Australia Party, I should say she should go back there. Here's the thing. You see, the great message of Christ, and that's another reason why I have been asked here, because although I am a layman, I am not a minister, I did not answer the call that comes to some, but few have the courage like Danny to accept it. But I am nevertheless a Christian.
Yes.
Practicing, but not perfect. I'm working on it. The point is this. You know that this is a party which has very strong Christian roots.
Yes.
But you have also heard that this is a party which, like all Christian organisations, is open to all.
Yes.
So whether you're a Christian, or whether you are a Muslim, or whether you are of one race or another, and even Julia Gillard is welcome to join. Rise up. Pastor Danny will be sending her an application form in the post, because on September the 15th she will need somewhere to go. Julia Gillard is Australia's first woman Prime Minister. Now, I used to work for Britain's first woman Prime Minister, Margaret Thatcher. The only man in the cabinet, she was. And a story is told of her that she once took the cabinet out to dinner, and the waiter came to her and said, "What would you like to eat, Prime Minister?" And she said, "I'll have the steak, well done." She's particularly fond of Australian Wagyu beef. And so the waiter said, "And the vegetables?" "They'll have the steak too." One of the things I learned from Margaret Thatcher was that one should never hate one's political opponents. So I'm going to ask you a question, and I know what the answer is going to be, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Do you love Julia Gillard? Yes. Because that is the overriding principle of the Rise Up Australia Party. In Greek, from the Gospel according to St Matthew, chapter 2, verses 35 to 40, the word agapesis occurs twice. In the Latin Vulgate, in the same passage, delegates occurs twice. And in the English of the King James Version, which I carry here in my pocket, thou shalt love. So do we love our political opponents? Of course we do. Because today's political opponents are tomorrow's members of Rise Up Australia. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I love Australia. How can you not love Australia? This vigorous, glorious land, whose poets describe its droughts and its floods, which Flannery seems to think are the new normal. No, they're the old normal. This is a beautiful land, with a people diverse in their origins, from the indigenous peoples and their predecessors here, going back tens of thousands of years. The indigenous peoples we see today are not, perhaps, the first people to settle this land. And we, of course, are certainly not the first people to settle this land. So there are people from all over the world, from all cultures. But when they come here to a culture that is distinctive, that is inclusive of and welcoming of their cultures, their religions, or their absence of religion. Come one, come all. Because Australia is an inclusive, multi-ethnic, multi-religious, multi-point of view country. But it is Australia, it has its own culture, and if you come here, then follow Pastor Danny's example and enjoy it and celebrate it and do not seek to destroy it. But remember, there's one thing that sets us apart as Christians from others in politics, and that is we at least make the effort to tell the truth. And to expect to win completely first time round and sweep the board is a worthy but not necessarily attainable ambition. But it doesn't stop us trying. So to you, Pastor Danny, and to all who will stand up and live the Christian message of love and put that Christian message of love into practice in politics, and who will hold to account those who make promises in politics and will expect those promises to be kept, and will say to the Chief Climate Commissar, if you tell one more lie in the name of getting your $180,000 a year for telling rubbish for 3 days a week, then we will put you in prison for fraud for a very long time. There is now, alongside the other Christian and Christian-motivated parties in this country, a new party dedicated to the principle that the truth should be told, that love should be shown to all in policy making and in the conduct of the business of politics. And therefore, God bless you, Pastor Danny. God bless Rise Up Australia. God bless Australia itself. Rise up, Australia.